Happening now, a nursing home worker in Cattaraugus County is tested positive for COVID-19. The details coming up. Plus, the number of recoveries continue to climb here in Chautauqua County.
And it's a dry day, but the humidity is way up there once again today. But some cooler weather is ahead as we head to the weekend. I've got the full forecast next. The news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. A nursing home worker in Cattaraugus County is tested positive for COVID-19. The county health department says the female healthcare worker was tested last week, part of New York's new nursing home testing mandate. The result was reported Tuesday, revealing the case. Now, prior to the test, health officials say the woman was asymptomatic and denies contact with another active case. There are now 63 cases total there, with 43 of them active in Cattaraugus County. The department has begun a contact tracing investigation on this new case. Officials say any resident interested in getting a swab for COVID-19 can register online at catco.org/coronavirus and click on the COVID-19 diagnostic test link. We have a link to that on our website at WNYNewsNow.com. The health department did not specifically identify the nursing home that was involved there. Well, Chautauqua County's executive says social distancing efforts are working and is hopeful that phase 2 of reopening will start next week. Executive P.J. Wendell, speaking on our program yesterday, says that over the holiday weekend, we saw an increase in residents traveling the county, but noted that they all seem to be following social distancing guidelines.
I feel the social distancing is working. I know it's getting a lot of people are really kind of getting frustrated, but we're still showing positive effort. I know in our control room meeting, Lieutenant Governor was very confident the numbers remain consistent and very optimistic that we'll be moving into phase 2 next week.
Wendell says that even though there was a big jump in cases late last week, overall the outbreak appears to be under control here. Additionally, he stressed the best way for residents to help in that reopening effort is by following social distancing and wearing a mask when out in public. The county executive is asking businesses listed under future phases to visit forward.ny.gov to fill out the state's template and prepare to reopen. He also advises businesses that are not specifically listed under the phases of reopening to be ready regardless, because they may be allowed to open once the control room discusses their specific industry. Well, 2 new cases of COVID-19 were reported here in Chautauqua County yesterday, but the numbers of recoveries continue to climb here countywide. Here's a look at the latest COVID map. Health officials say the new cases involve 2 men, one in his 60s and another in his 80s. There are now a total of 77 confirmed cases, with 21 of them active here. There are 2 hospitalized cases of COVID-19, that number down 2 from Monday. 9 more patients have recovered from the virus, bringing the recovery total to 52. There are still 254 people, though, that remain under some sort of quarantine or isolation order by the public health director and are being monitored. Now, officials remind us that not all of those who are being monitored are confirmed to have COVID-19, but they could have shown symptoms, are awaiting a test result, or have risk factors. Well, a City of Jamestown man is charged in connection with an afternoon stabbing yesterday on East 8th Street. Jamestown police tell us they responded to the reported stabbing just after 3 o'clock at the 8th Street residence. When officers arrived there, they located a male victim with multiple stab wounds. Police say that victim was taken to UPMC Chautauqua Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Through investigation, officers allege that 44-year-old William Buckley unlawfully entered the residence there and started an altercation with the victim, and then stabbed them. Buckley is charged with second-degree assault and first-degree burglary in the case. Police say he was taken to Jamestown City Jail pending arraignment in that case. Well, space flights thrust back into the spotlight for a historic journey from American soil today. Daryl Forgis with more from the Space Coast of Florida about what could be happening this afternoon.
Main engine started.
The countdown is on for SpaceX Crew Dragon to take to the stars. It's the first ever crewed mission for SpaceX and the first from U.S. soil to enter Earth's orbit since NASA retired the Space Shuttle program in 2011. The two astronauts at the helm, Colonel Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley.
We've longed to be a part of a test mission, a test space flight, and Doug and I are lucky enough to get that opportunity.
NASA partnered with Elon Musk's privately owned company to build and design the spacecraft. If the mission is successful, this will be the first commercially built aircraft to carry Americans to the International Space Station.
That's good.
While the excitement is brewing for the big day, the pandemic's impact looms.
COVID did drive some changes in how we were conducting our operations and preparing for this mission.
We've been tested at least twice so far, and rumor has it we might be tested again before we go.
The Kennedy Space Center is closed to visitors. NASA is encouraging people to watch the launch from home. Even with the impact of COVID-19, this space team is determined to launch themselves into history books.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and there's been will to make this happen, and we're just proud to be a part of it.
In Titusville, Florida, I'm Daryl Forges.
All right, Daryl, thank you for reporting. Very excited. Live coverage on most major networks starting at 4:30 today. So certainly something we'll all be keeping our eyes on. And as long as the weather goes right, hopefully they'll be able to get up in the air. Seems like everything has some connection to the weather, whether it's here in Western New York or there on the beautiful Space Coast of Florida. Got to say hello to Justin. Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see you on the broadcast. Great to see Wendy here. We thank you so much for tuning in every day, Wendy. Love to have you here. Good to see Liz. Pam, thanks for joining us. Joseph, Beatrice, Debbie, Chris as well. Thank you all for being here on this hump day. Let's now get a check of our weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Mr. Hunter, I don't know if you know too much about the Space Coast, but their weather is pretty crazy. That's a good vacation spot for my family. And let me tell you, especially late in the afternoon, you can always get those pop-up thunderstorms. And they sometimes can ruin a lot of things. And hopefully today, though, fingers crossed, they'll all blow right off the coast.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about this on Monday on the social media stuff that we posted, that, you know, those pop-up afternoon random storms are very common, you know, especially down in the southeast. We can get them here too with the right air mass. They just pop up at random times and then they fall apart and then the sun is back and then it's humid once again. So that's how it goes. Wanted to show you another look. This is the Sky Vision camera coming from Finley Lake, and we've actually seen some people out on the lake taking their boats out there. So yeah, it's going to be nice though. 74 with a dew point of 64. So the humidity is still in the air today. You're going to be feeling it. But today there's going to be more clouds basically, you know, dotting the sky. You can see the clouds coming in basically from the south. This is in advance of the next storm system that comes our way tomorrow through Friday. And some of that could contain definitely some thunderstorms at times. Just to let you guys know, our air conditioning is broke, so it's hotter than Hades in here, and I'm sweating underneath my jacket. So that's the result. Anyway, 73 here in town, 79 Dunkirk, 78 in Erie. But look at these dew point temperatures. Again, dew point measures the moisture content in the atmosphere. 59 in Jamestown right now, also the same in Dunkirk, 61 in Olean, 63 in Buffalo. So again, the dew point temperatures are going to be rising through the afternoon, so it's going to be Stickham once again. 86 was the high yesterday, 64 only was the low this morning. 89 and 33 are in the record books for today. We should be fine for that record for today, by the way. So partly to mostly sunny on average, more clouds, especially through the afternoon. Very warm and humid, near record highs in some spots. 80 on the highest hills, 87 across the lower elevations, but with a very light wind that's not helping. But cooler weather is on the way for the weekend. We will talk about it in a few minutes. Justin?
Oh, Dakota, it's not that bad. It's only 81 in the studio right now. We complain about the cold. We gotta love this. Thank you, sir. Coming up next, Jamestown Public School Superintendent Dr. Brett Athorpe joins us live to talk about the district's 2021 budget and its impact on some school programs. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you. When you're on the go, stay in the know by downloading the WNY News Now mobile app. Stay up to date on local news, weather, and sports that matter to you. Plus, subscribe to breaking news and weather alerts from the team that puts coverage first. In addition, watch news as it happens with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network. Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. COVID-19's impact continues, not just medically, but financially for some in a big way. Joining us on the show to talk more about Jamestown Public Schools' budget for the next academic year is Superintendent Dr. Brett Athorpe. Dr. Athorpe, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Justin. Always a pleasure to be with you.
This conversation, pretty serious, I think, for a lot here in the Jamestown community. The 2021 school year budget released last week, and it came with some big changes for many. First off, in creating the budget, how much of an impact did the COVID-19 crisis have on it?
Well, it's a pandemic budget. That's exactly what I'm calling it. It is very unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it in my 33 years in education. And this is a very difficult budget. For me personally, it's emotionally a painful budget because there are some great programs for kids that unfortunately we had to end. So normally, Justin, the governor comes out with a budget in January and he tells schools what their aid will be. And then the legislature has their say in March, and they tell us what our revenues will be. Now, that's important for Jamestown because Jamestown is the 9th poorest school district in the state, and it gets over 75% of its revenue from aid. And so that number is very important to us. So we went through that process in January, March. We created a balanced budget. We assumed an inflationary increase in revenue, 2%. And then the pandemic hit. And the pandemic hit, the governor revised his revenue forecast for schools. And that forced us to make almost a $4 million reduction in aid. And the worst thing about this, one of the worst things about this is that was his speculation. We still do not know officially what our aid will be from the state government. And so our Board of Education had to put together, a responsible budget that had reduced funding about $4 million. And the scary thing is that the governor has publicly said many times that he's looking at a 20% reduction of aid to schools. And he's been given the authority by the legislature to do that at any point during this school year. Well, Justin, a 20% cut in aid to Jamestown schools, that's $14 million in addition to what we've already cut. It's draconian. I mean, I don't even know how you can function if he intends to do that. So this budget, caused us to eliminate 40 positions. 7 people, unfortunately, will be impacted in losing their jobs. The others are just vacant jobs or jobs from people who are retiring. And that's a double-edged sword too, Justin, because we're going to have larger class sizes at a time when reopening schools is going to require social distancing. So, it's an oxymoron. It's a double-edged sword. So, a very, very tough budget for sure.
Yeah, and as for the changes that were impacted, we know several programs like the P-Tech enrollment and the JPS Success Academy that was launched by your hand last year, now cut.
Mhm.
How specifically did you come to these decisions? It seems like it couldn't be an easy one.
No, it's painful. I mean, for me personally, ending my career is very painful, emotionally. So just like our home budgets, when you build a budget, just like your home budget or business budget, you build margins right into what you expect to spend. So, for example, let's say we budget for gas for buses, right? We might budget $5 a gallon for diesel fuel, and the price comes in around $2 or $3 typically a gallon. That gives us a margin, right? Some extra money. And because schools aren't allowed to save more than 3% or 4% of their revenues every year. So you build margins in your budget so that when things happen, like we had a school who had a sewer pipe break at Bush. That wasn't in our budget, but we had margins to pay for that. We had a roof failure at Washington Middle School and had to close 1/4 of that building. That wasn't in the budget, but we had margins. So what the board and I felt very strongly about was trying to keep these cuts as far away from kids as possible, impact the minimal amount of kids possible. So what we did is we went and looked at what we actually spent this year on gasoline, and we're using that number next year. And we did that with all the lines. So that what we did was we reduced our margins by over $1 million. Now that's very risky because sewer lines may break,
Yeah.
roofs might fail, and in that case we'd have to borrow the money to have it fixed because we took out all the margins. So the first thing we did was we eliminated all the margins, and so like the PTech program, which is a terrific program, it costs the taxpayers $400,000 a year, and there's 19 students in that program. And versus just ending that program for them, what we did was we assigned each student at PTech a case manager to help work one-on-one with the students so that they can still get their credentials, their associate's degrees, and they'll just be coached on how to do it outside of that PTech program. So that was for 19 students. The Success Academy, which is designed to serve 200 students a year, very painful because it was a phenomenal success. Phenomenal success. Justin, we have 1,700 kids who don't come to school on a regular basis. 1,700 kids. We have a 25% dropout rate, and we know the reasons for that. And the Success Academy was a school partnership with community agencies, and we had kids. I mean, our attendance rate for the Success Academy was higher. It was in the 90 percentile than any of our other buildings. And these are kids who were not coming to school previously. So that really breaks my heart because, we throw a lot of money at things in education that don't work.
Yeah.
And finally do something that works. And so what we're down to now is we eliminate those two programs. And the only things we have left is more layoffs if we have to do that.
And just not the heart of yours, but I think a lot in the community too. We've had several families reach out to us about their disappointment with the budget.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell them and those students who were impacted by it?
I would say, contact Congressman Reed's office, contact the governor's office, Senator Gillibrand, our Senator Schumer. I know I've taken 2 calls from the governor's office, and they verified that all these numbers are real. These numbers are real. They're upset about the Success Academy, and they're upset about PTech, and they know this is, and they also know the double-edged sword of if we lay off more teachers or we lay off more staff, we're going to have a real problem. with
Yeah.
social distancing. I mean, we're already going to have a real problem with class sizes. So, but I have said to our Board of Education, I do believe in Winston Churchill's, never wasting a good crisis, right? Where's the opportunity in this? And I think that the great opportunity here is that when things get back to quote normal and the financials are straightened out, Jamestown has the Manufacturing Institute down by JCC, which is an unbelievable manufacturing facility. And I think that the opportunity would be to have a rebirth of the P-TECH program and have it here in Jamestown for Jamestown students. And instead of serving 19 students, let's serve several hundred students. That doesn't help our 19 families right now, who are in hurting from this program. And I'm very sorry for it all. This is why being a superintendent sometimes is a very difficult job, having to make tough decisions. So.
Now, in addition to the cuts, there were some additions through the budget, albeit small. But a second instructional technology specialist focusing on distance learning and trying to
Mhm.
modernize the curriculum to adapt to changes brought to you by COVID.
Yeah.
Why is it important to launch that position and kind of get ahead of this fall?
Great question, Justin. Great question. And thanks for doing your homework. So the schools are going to have to submit reopening plans to be approved by the state in order to reopen in the fall. And one of the criteria is that that teachers are prepared to be distance educators. Students are prepared to be distance learning students. Families are prepared to allow distance learning to occur in their homes. When this happened in March, Justin, we all got a pass because it was so fast. They don't teach teachers or administrators distance learning. They don't teach strategies or pedagogy online. It's all about face to face. Well, we got a pass on that because we didn't expect it. We're not getting a pass the second time around. So we have to have all of our staff, our students, and our families trained on distance learning because I think it's been fairly well represented in the media that we're probably going to have a second wave in the fall, right? And so that we have to be prepared to send kids home in short notice. And this time around, it can't be. It'll have to be very structured with like schedules, and it'll be very different. So so how do you do that? With 4,800 students and several hundred teachers, and so we have one instructional technology specialist who's a teacher who teaches other teachers. So we added a second one to help in this because we have to have that box checked in order for us to reopen school in the fall.
Now, back to the budget, sticking with the budget a little bit, with
Yeah.
COVID-19 meeting restrictions, something that maybe not general community members know too much about, but for us in the media, we've seen that with the public not being able to attend public meetings in person. How does the district aim to try to engage and inform the public about these changes in the budget, and then ultimately hear from them when it comes time for the public budget vote?
Yeah, so one of the nuances to this year is that the budget isn't one and done, right? We have our vote, but because the governor the governor hasn't provided us what our financial aid is yet. The board knows that this is the budget process is going to be ongoing throughout the year. It's a legal process. We have to all in the state have this vote. On our webpage, jpsnewyork.org, there's right in the main page there's a budget link. Click on that. We have a budget hearing June 2nd, and people can submit their comments ahead of time, and we'll read through those and answer those questions. And then I think the public should continue to stay tuned because, again, unlike any other year, the Board of Education is going to have to be making adjustments to this budget throughout the year based on these new changes in gubernatorial powers that the governor has.
If more aid were to come, would the board and the administration consider making changes to the changes? Or
Absolutely. I said that to the governor's office as they went through the numbers too, and said so. They said, and they agreed. So this is not about being disappointed with the program. This is about a budget that's about tough choices. And they said, so if we, the state, got the money for these programs, would Jamestown schools offer them? And I said, absolutely, we'd offer them. We're only doing this because we have to do it, not because we want to do it.
And finally, we thank you so much for joining us today. In the last couple minutes of the interview here, what modifications are being made for graduation? I know since we last chatted, there wasn't any solid decision yet. Are the talks still going, or have we come to a conclusion on that?
No, I'm June 1st is meeting with Mr. Williams, the high school principal, and some seniors. I think the prevailing thought and hope is to use Strider Field to some way. While I think that's a terrific idea, I'm not sure we'll be able to do that because of the laws around large group gatherings still. It all depends on the phases we're in and what the government will allow. So Mr. Williams and the seniors have several options. One does include Strider Field, one does include digital, and one does include kind of a creative mix of the two. So I'll be making that decision on the 1st of June.
All right. And we'll certainly look forward to that. I'm sure a lot of the seniors, with everything that has happened in this senior year, I know in other neighboring schools, they've said that they want to have some sort of graduation where they can really celebrate the hard work that they've done, not just this year, but their whole time, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jamestown Public School Superintendent Dr. Brett Athorpe joining us today. Sir, we thank you so much for taking time to have this conversation. It's really important, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Justin, and I appreciate you doing your homework and being interested in our district. Thank you.
Absolutely, always am. If I wasn't prepared, I shouldn't have the job. So, all right, thank you.
Well,
now
you
let's
can go
get a
home.
check of...
You can go home and put an A+ on your refrigerator from the superintendent.
Yes, thank you. I think I appreciate that. Let's get a check of our weather forecast now with Dakota.
He gets an A+, and he also gets a free pass for Point It Out. Mr. Schranz, Earth Science class, 2010. Anyway, it was a warm day yesterday. Look at this. 86 in town yesterday, 88 in Dunkirk, 90 in Erie yesterday. That tied their all-time record high. Buffalo broke their record high, 93 and 93 in Rochester. Both of those were record highs. Man, it was warm out there yesterday, and it's still going to be muggy today, but look at how we just cranked up the heat from 70 last Wednesday all the way up to 86 yesterday. I mean, it was just whoop, right up the scale we go. And it's not so much the temperatures, it is the humidity that's making it feel just a little bit sticky. Live look from the Doubletree Hotel shows you we have the clouds downtown starting to fill in. 73 at the airport as of noon hours, south wind of 10, so at least there's a little bit more of a breeze out there than there was yesterday. Not a lot, but at least a little bit to help make you feel a little bit cooler. The dew point right now sits at 58, but we are expecting this dew point number to climb into the lower 60s. Some are already in the lower 60s right now as of noon hour. So again, the muggy meter, we're going to be hanging out in this humid range once again with the dew points between 60 and 65 across some of the area. Wouldn't be surprised if some spots actually climb into the mid to upper 60s for dew point temperatures. And that's when you get into that muggy air. It just sticks to you. Your clothes just stick right to you because obviously when there's a lot of moisture in the air, your body can't evaporate the moisture. Now looking into Friday, the NOAA Storm Prediction Center has outlined the far eastern southern tier under a low-end marginal risk. That's a level 1 out of 5, and it's mainly for the far eastern part of Allegheny County going into northwestern Pennsylvania. Now, we're not sure, but essentially the Weather Service might decide to pull this marginal risk a little bit farther to the west. So we'll see what they do with that tomorrow and Friday, but as of right now, only Allegheny County, the far eastern part of Allegheny County, is under that marginal risk for Friday, but we'll see what they do with that as we go down the road. High pressure is starting to move on out, and we're starting to see the clouds starting to infiltrate from the south. Also noteworthy for our second tropical storm of the year. Tropical storm Bertha has formed off of the Carolinas. It's mainly going to be a heavy rain producer through the next day or two. So here we go with Future Scan. It shows you nothing through the day, so there's going to be a lot of sun and clouds out there today. Now, as we head into tomorrow, scattered to widespread showers will start to come our way, maybe a thunderstorm, especially in the afternoon. Then as we head into Friday, another chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon hours. So zone forecast very quickly. The inland areas here, temperatures will likely range into the lower 80s, lower to mid 80s for some spots, with clouds and sun mixing through the day. Next 7 days are coming up right now, and temperatures tomorrow 79. Again, there's a chance for showers and storms, maybe strong storms Friday. The weekend looking nice and dry right now, and then another chance for scattered showers as we head into Tuesday. News continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and also on the mobile app. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at noon. Have a good day.